I'm trying to keep my hair from shining. Hey, hello everyone. Good to see all of you on today. Um, Man, those of you in the Bay Area, we were gonna go on our little hike today.
Yep.
We got ready. We got up, looked out, 6 thunderstorm, 7 thunderstorm, 8 thunderstorm.
Mm,
So we had to cancel that walk for today, but be ready for next week.
that's right.
We
Next
are
week.
we're going to get that in. Boy, that COVID and the thunderstorm
if
got us locked
it's
in.
not one thing, it's another.
Man, I'm telling you. So anyway, good evening to all. Glad you could be on. We are doing this live from Oakland, California. We had to go outside because we left all of our lights and things at the church where we
And it's
broadcast.
really hot inside.
Yes.
Inside. We don't have
Yeah.
air conditioning. It's really hot. So the breeze, that's
So
nice.
yeah, it's
Would you
nice
say?
out here. Yeah, we're gonna try to get this in before the sun go down. We got no lights, but I think we're okay.
I think we are.
All right. So were they trying to answer questions? I just kind
Yes,
of
so
rolled up.
let's look at the questions. So the questions first was like the first question was, is mucus good for
Mm,
you or not? So that was the
mm,
first question.
mm.
And some people well, those that answered said that, some said that mucus is not good for you. Oh, we lost you. You're
Sorry.
back?
Back.
Okay. That mucus is not good for you. Some said that it is good, but too much can be bad. Um, and these other answers were just a yes, but I'm not sure if it's for that particular question. So we'll move on to the next question.
Yes.
And that one is, at what times do you notice that your body produces, the most mucus? And so someone said that they get mucus if they have dairy products. What are some times that you notice that you produce more mucus?
Um, Cheese,
Dairy, so
pizza.
dairy products as
Yeah.
well?
Some certain breads, certain amount of good doughy dinner rolls. um, you know. Um, what else? What else? Ice cream is still dairy. Those are the
Yeah.
nemesis for
Yeah.
me.
I notice that whenever I have allergies, produces a lot of mucus, or like when I'm sick, I'm
Yeah.
cold, or you get stuffy and
Mm.
stuff like that. I produce a lot of mucus then. And then the last question was, can certain food produce mucus in our bodies? And that, I think those were the yeses.
Yes.
There were three yeses. And someone just said they get mucus when they're sick. So
Yeah, there's a reason.
yeah.
That's a good sign. So originally, mucus is good for the body. The overload of mucus is what causes the problem. Mucus can be designed. By the way, we're not doctors.
Yes, we're not.
We're not children of
No,
doctors. So
by no stretch of the imagination.
please, we're just trying to share with you some of the knowledge we've had to share with our people, because we don't like to see our people go down, go through a lot of
That's
pain,
right.
not have access to the medical
Right.
arena. And COVID-19, with the surge coming up, is disproportionately affecting our community. So that's why we're here to help give you kind of a layman's approach, but
Yes.
some successes we've experienced that we want you to avoid. I cannot remember the last time I was in the hospital except to take my mom in, pray for people,
Mm.
and do all that. I just don't remember.
Or
I've
other
been in
than
there.
checkups.
I've been to those clinics for those checkups. You're right,
Yeah.
to see
Yeah.
the doctor for checkups. But he's always telling me, we don't even know why you're here. But that's good. But I have a reason for that, because I used to always go for
Mm.
asthma. Used to always go for bronchitis. Used to always go for get checked up for some internal intestinal types of things. And for about the last 15 or so years, 20 years, I have not had to worry about that. So that's what I want to help you with. It can be done. Sometimes all of the 30 plus years we've put some things in,
Mm-hmm.
it takes about, if you go at it at a good even pace, you'll start feeling the difference right away. But you want to get to your tip top shape. It'll take a while, a few years, but just because unless you're going to aggressively go after it, it'll take a while, but it's doable.
Well, yes. So as we transition into what you're going to be talking about today,
folks, let me tell you what this mucus will do. All right, so you're right. Mucus is designed that if you get something in you, it'll surround it. Okay, see your doctors for all that technical scientific term. Basically, it'll cloud it, keep it from injuring you, so it creates that mucus, but it's designed to not stay there. It's designed to go out. So let's say that you eat a donut for breakfast. All right, so it's nothing nutrients, weakening the immune system. Mucus starts forming to try and surround some issues that might be happening. Then you have ice cream for lunch. Oh, then there's more mucus. Okay, then you have that saved up cake for dinner. Now it's more mucus. So what's happening is each time we don't get the mucus out, it stores up. So let's say that it stores here in the elbow. The body's gonna tell you, hey, we can't move. We got so much thick mucus right there, it's locking up. All right. So sometimes most time you'll feel it in the joints. You'll get groggy in your mind. You'll feel your toes and things start to do crazy stuff. You'll feel your knees start, people with knee issues start having these kinds of issues. It's mucus. So it stores up. It's good. If you don't overload it, you got problems. Once it gets overloaded, you got problems.
Well, it's interesting that you were talking about mucus and how it forms around stuff. Because I know in my studies, we learned that mucus is an autoimmune response. In other words, it's built in our body anytime it reads anything as an invader. And so therefore it does surround that like little cocoon around the thing that it's trying to get rid of. And I liked what you said. The mucus is not supposed to stay in there. It's designed to wrap around the issue and then exit the body.
Every parent understands this. Well, every wife would understand it with their husband. When actually is the right time to take the trash out. All right. So most of the times, women, as soon as they smell it, want it out, or as soon as it gets started, topping off, they want it gone. Brothers would be like, I can handle that. What's wrong with it? So it's more and more. Mucus is the trash collector, and it's trying to say, when are we gonna get out of here? Don't keep letting us store up, because we're gonna have some issues. So body odor, issues that you have in your eyes, halitosis, bad breath. Those are all mucus. They've collected, and the odor is starting to come out. Didn't we just see this thing happen? Those of you up in Oakland, where I don't know what y'all call it, the estuary, over there, estuary over there by the airport, whatever. It 500 gallons of crazy waste when they cut the power off. Then it released all that waste and what did they say? They don't want nobody in that thing until they clean that up. So all the rowing people had to go out. This just happened over the weekend. So what I'm trying to tell you is, it's very important to get the trash out. And that's what the mucus was designed to do. But you and I, we love that food, man. We love that food, and we just keep collecting more and more and more, and the symptoms begin to show.
Right. So it's interesting because before you really delve into this, the book or the author that you're going to be talking about, I remember that was one of the first books that you gave to me whenever I had some inquiry in health. And I have to tell you, when I was reading the book, I have a biology degree, and I was like, man, this wasn't in the textbooks. Like, they didn't teach me this. Like, I know what mucus is and I know why it forms, but just the details. The details. I have to say, it as a matter of fact, that book helped me better understand immune responses and all those kinds of things. So it's a wonderful book.
Wow.
And do you want me to
here's the point is, I learned it real early when I was starting to deal with my health, find all my collections, was led to Arnold EHRET. That last name is spelled EHRET, Arnold EHRET. For those of you who might be Sabbath keepers or you've been around a long time with the Seventh-day Adventist Church, you will also recognize that he was around in the 1800s. He was probably a contemporary with one of our prophets, one of the prophets known to the Adventist Church of Ellen G. White. And so they were hitting that health thing. You know why? Because in the 1800s, people weren't living long.
No.
There was all kind of dysentery, how you say that? Dysentery going on. Sanitation wasn't the best.
Right.
We had these kinds of issues coming up. So this is what was going on. And so EHRET does this scientific study. He's getting on there. He really is a masterful thing. So what I'm about to show you are things he wrote in the 1800s.
Yeah.
Right?
That was powerful to me. This is how long ago this was written.
And so what I'm saying to you is other people have tried to catch up, maybe science, some scientists have tried to prove that it's not this way, but take a look, take some notes. I'm going to try to hit you with some good points here. And then we're going to show you what basically mucusless is anything God made.
Oh,
because the body will do.
You mean naturally? Anything that he made that we didn't have to formulate into something.
Yeah, because he did make the deer.
He did.
He made the chicken.
He did.
You know. So you're right. That's a good point. All right. So what I'm saying is, if I took a tiger and he ate the meal, he's got enough acid in to break that stuff down and go ahead and get it out of the system. The humans don't have the kind of acid, don't have the same kind of material, so it takes a little longer. Why it's taking longer? Close your ears or open your ears. Sometimes the meat staying in there develops this larvae, turns into worms, turns into parasites, turns in. Here come the mucus, boom, solid around there. So sometimes we're gonna get it in the nose, feed your children a little something, children start. What do you have to do? You get something and blow. You want to blow up. They're blowing all that stuff out that was collected. All right. It also comes out in your poop.
Yes.
It also will show up in your urine. Yes. So all that cloudy stuff when you go to the toilet.
That's what I was about to ask.
You look in there, you see the little clouds floating around. Maybe y'all don't look at your stuff, but I'm saying you should, you know, because it's going to tell you a story about what's going on inside. So don't be there's no shame, nobody camera. We don't want you to show it, but
yes, we don't want to see it.
Yeah, we don't want to see it, but just take a look.
You should want to see it.
Okay, and then if you can handle it, take a look at your poop, because it might be some stuff wiggling in the middle of the stuff. That's going to give you some information. All right. You see little white stuff in that's mucus. That's how long and cloudy this is. And it's causing problems inside of our bodies. And here's what EHRET was discovering. Okay. So we got this human temple. We got to deal with this. So for a long time, because y'all study this, I always used to say, here's what he's saying. The white corpse color of the light and sunless man of culture cannot be called beautiful and emanates mainly from the white corpse color of the dead, boiled, wrong food. Now, you know where you're going with that, right?
Yeah, translate that into modern English.
All right, he's just saying it's a bunch of white folks got a lot of this white stuff on them. All right, the corpuscles make them white. And I'm telling you, this is old science. So I'm just telling you, some brothers are trying to get back to this. All right, so that it's mucus. They come to the table full of mucus and they have to really battle to get that mucus out. All right. So he's trying to argue that your skin tone will give you a signal of whether or not you're getting too much mucus in. It's not that you were born light or born, just watch it. You get too pale, it's a sign. All right. Many of us get sick. What happens? Get pale. If you're lighter skin, blessed with that. If you're blessed with darker skin, it'll show in different areas. You know, you get lethargic, you get wet. So all of these is what he's trying to get at.
And one of the things that I noticed is that he's talking about who feeds on bleeding grapes, cherries, oranges. Now, when you think about those colors, those are very vibrant colors. And then on top of that, he talks about getting air systematically and sun baths.
He back in those days, he really believed that the air was paramount to you getting great juice. That's how much the lungs needed And air oxygen will help cause the mucus to want to try to get out. That's some deep stuff.
Yes.
You go out and take some deep breaths.
Yes.
10 in a row,
Yes.
and exhale.
Yes.
You all of a sudden you start coughing.
Yes.
Why? The body's
Yes.
bringing up that mucus.
Right.
So the oxygen's
And I can understand the science behind that. There are certain bacterias and things like that absolutely hate oxygen.
Yeah.
And so if they are exposed to oxygen, they quickly want to leave. So that makes sense.
Yeah.
It also says that it's just talking about when it was, I guess he was comparing it to food tables of a particular doctor.
Yes.
But he's saying that the fruit and the vegetables should take the first place in terms of the content of how you set the table.
Yes. I love that. Your table setting should be set like that. And the first thing that he actually got to in those days is the moment you get sick, you should push away from the mucus forming food and hit the mucusless food.
Okay.
So there's no mucus in the apple.
Right.
Your body has, but you gotta eat that. So when you start getting sick, and there's a reason why you don't feel good after you eat the fruit. Hopefully I'll get to that down the line. But there's a reason why. So he's saying take a couple of days.
Yes.
Just eat some fruit, drink some fruit juices, some real as original to the fruit.
Right.
And the mucus will start to flow out. Sometimes it feel like diarrhea, but it gotta roll. You want it to roll. Diarrhea doesn't mean that you helpless.
Well, it's interesting that you say that because, as we're looking at this slide, it mentions that there's a connection there with, he calls it modern disfigurement, but obesity. And
how kind he was.
How kind, yes. And that, in other words, that the obesity means that, and we know that, right? It means that we no longer know the limit of normal. We don't know what is a normal limit. So it's interesting that he is connecting that to the mucus in the body.
Right. Just piling up. We've read, if you're a student of the Bible, you've read some gluttony kind of issues in Babylon where they just ate, gagged, threw up, ate again, just eating parties and festives and stuff. And what was happening is they kept gaining weight. They just kept getting disfigured.
Yes.
And remember those statues we see.
Yes.
When you go and look at some ancient museums or those statues, that was beauty.
Yeah.
Big, woman, big, that was looked upon as beauty. So I think that's what he's trying to say. That became the normal.
Well, and in cultures and some cultures still to today, the bigger you are, the better the status in certain tribes or the beauty or health.
Right.
And then I like at the end when he's talking about the color. So he is comparing red color. When you think of red, you think of love, you think of blood, you think of vibrant, but he's like white, pale, colorless, bitter. He equates that with the token of disease by mucus, and then basically the slow dying away of an individual. And that's, when you think about it, I don't know that we normally think that a lot of mucus or our paleness equates a slow dying away of us.
Yeah, and he goes in another part of the book by saying that if you cut open the grape, you cut open the cherry, cut open the blueberry, just the colors are closest to the human blood. That's kind of deep.
Yes.
That's kind of deep. He said, look, there's the signal. This is what he's saying back in 1800. There's a sign that that's the very fuel you need for your red corpuscles, for your blood cells, because it's closest. Eat the plants that produce that kind of color. That's what he's saying. And these will go in there and fight mucus. So, I told him I was going to but I'll tell my story later about my son. You all have heard it like a couple times, but I want to re-emphasize it now because we're on this mucus talk.
Right. And we're going to get to that part. So I like how Dr. EHRET talks about, this is not just something that he tested on individuals, but he lived it. And he
came down with some Bright's disease.
Right. So So here are a few things that he did that helped him combat this Bright's
Okay.
disease.
All right. So look. You can see on the screen, right? And then I'll try to connect it some things. All right, so now let's say you got a pain that won't go away. It just showed up in your knee or your hip, right? It's just there, right, for a reason. What he's saying is you didn't have enough of the plants. You didn't have enough of the fruits to go in there and move that mucus. It got in there and settled, all right? So it starts pushing up against stuff. Now you start feeling this pain, this agony, whatever. So he's saying that these are the things he tried to go to. So what he's saying is a couple of days, the one that wrote the red books says, if you just pass up a meal, you're gonna feel better. All right. So part of it is getting sick. So this is what he did. He did some fasting, which means his point is, and strict living on a mucusless diet. Right. So you get sick, you gotta make yourself eat the plant-based stuff. I mean, 72 hours of that, that stuff might be gone. All right. So this is what will surprise me. He ate 2 pounds. And he chose the sweetest grapes. So he didn't suffer. He ate some good tasting grapes.
And I want to insert there, he didn't have to worry about seedless grapes.
No, not back then.
They didn't exist back then.
No, he could crunch on the grape seeds and everything. That's a good point. Yes. And then this is the one that half a gallon of sweet grape juice made from the best and most wonderful grapes grown in Italy. I might say he was on that side of the world before he came over to the United States. I should have made that point too. So he studied abroad and was born, kind of came from that side. So he understood these grapes from Italy. By the way, what's this valley out here? San Juan, what's this valley with all the grapevines and stuff out here? We call it up here in the Bay Area. Sonoma, y'all, Napa. These Italian beautiful grapes that come from Italy. They're all over here. They just take the seeds out and they, you buy it in the bottle after it's been sitting a while. But he's trying to say, as soon as you crush it with your feet, drink that juice. That's the olden days, right? So and
so, in doing that, anytime we're doing anything that is going to cleanse us, we're going to have some detox symptoms. And I like that he listed what were some of the symptoms.
Y'all pay attention to this. Pay attention to this, because you've kind of gone through some of this.
Yes,
too,
absolutely.
Right? So what happens is,
not some, probably all of those.
So what happens is when the body's trying to now eliminate the mucus, all right? So you take a little something of this, something of that. What happens? Your heart starts racing, right? So here's what the body's trying to do. The urgency to get it out is calling the heart to pump more blood. So your heart races, right? It's not like you about to, some people feel like they might about to have, because it does feel like
it does. Like I've been there, done that. Yes, right? It does.
So what happens, your heart speeds up and says, we need more blood, because we got to take several truckloads of mucus out of this system. So it's going to say, hey, send more. So the heart speeds up. So you feel like, oh man, what's going on? My heart's racing. It's trying to get toxins out. All right. How many of y'all felt like getting dizzy? Get up too fast. All right. It's too much mucus in your system. Start going, whoa, let me sit down. Body's trying to get stuff out. So it causes draining oxygen from the brain to go down and help out, get a little dizzy, right? What is this one? Seized with severe pains in the stomach. Oh yeah, you can feel that stomach pain go over, right? Because it's moving. It's all like, sometimes feel like cramping sometimes.
Yeah.
Just boom, it just, because it's going after the problem and trying to pull it away from the side walls, pull it away from the colon, and boy, you just feel it. This is what I thought was interesting, which is why I just told you about mucus foaming diarrhea. You go to the bathroom, it rolls out, and it's got a lot of like a sea foam on it, whatever. That's the toxins, folks. That's what you want to see coming out of you. I did say it's white stuff, right? Because we ain't gonna go no deeper than that.
And it does look like mucus.
And it comes out, it just rolls out. That's what you should shout hallelujah, sing a praise song, whatever you want to do, put on Kurt Franklin and shout, whatever, because That's what the body was designed to do. And he said he vomited the grape juice. And that's where, you know, I've said it to a lot of people that the issue of parasites, worms, mucus stuff was in the stomach. So it sends it back out, right? So the grape juice goes down in there, does the fighting, does the cleansing, and say, okay, we're gonna go back this way. You know, sometimes the paramedics come to the neighborhood, they can't go out the normal way. They got to go a different way out, right? Because it's an emergency. So they got to roll over the barrier, go to the back, you know, fence or whatever. They just got to go and get you back to the hospital. That's what your body's doing. So it's taking that and sending it back this way instead of out through the other way. And you can, acid smelling mucus, that can come out in bad breath. You know, one of the things I don't think he gets to is that if you have this white, I mean, in this section, you have this white, pasty stuff or stuff on your tongue. He called it the magic mirror. I didn't put that in this one. He called it the magic mirror. That one of the best ways you can find out if you got mucus, even before you feel anything going on, is to look at your tongue. If it's got too much white coagulating
that white
film in the back of your tongue or coming down forward, you got to get that out. That's your body telling you, we got an overload of mucus. It's the first warning sign. Next thing you're gonna feel a pain in your hip or knee or back or neck or something. It's warning you.
But he said that even after going through all those detox symptoms, right? Now what comes after, because I've been there and I've had those, and you know, and telling myself I'm not gonna die. But after you go through that, he's talking about this strength that he felt all of a sudden. It's like all of a sudden you have a whole bunch of energy,
burst of energy,
right? And so he, you know, he says,
you can see what he did right there,
right. And he says all obstructions gone
326 times consecutively. I don't know what else he was doing. It wasn't no TV or something.
No, knee bending, and I don't know what he meant by arm stretching. Was that jumping jacks or I don't know.
That was his description, but he did it. He did it without stopping. 326 times.
That's a lot of jumping jacks. That's a lot of jumping jacks.
That's a lot of energy coming
or toe touches. I don't know. Or knee bending. So squats.
Yeah, squats.
326 squats
in consecutive. That's what he said. That's what wow. I don't think he was a young man at that time. Wow. I don't know. Well, he needs to tell us.
Wow. So constipation. People deal with constipation.
That's mucus slowing way down and slowing everything.
But what, you know, they have laxatives and stuff, but he talks about other cures. Right? And basically, if you want to cure chronic constipation, you must change your diet and eat really nourishing foods.
Okay, now when was this? 1800s. That's what I'm saying.
This is 1800s, guys.
This is not today saying, man, we got to change it. Oh yeah, they caught up. This man was saying that back then.
Yes, and he goes on to kind of detail a little bit what are some ideal you know, foods. So fresh ripe fruits and starchless vegetables. He's talking about those being fundamental remedies for all diseases. So we're not just talking about constipation, we're talking about for all diseases, right? Because he's talking about you know, these foods are dissolving foods. So they dissolve what? The mucus. They dissolve the things that are clogged up in our system, right? The stuff that's constipated in us. It's taking care of all of that, right? But he does advise that in severe, if you know that you have a severe case or chronic constipation, he advises that you will need a help at the beginning. Some type of laxative, and he talks about a harmless laxative. Okay, so what would
get things rolling?
What would be some examples of harmless?
I don't know what he was selling, what they were selling in stores back then. Right. But whatever was today is kind of like Metamucil that they take it. That's harmless. That's easy going. Or prune juice is another one that's really more easier because it's made from the fruit. Now I don't know that X-Lax would have been considered an easy thing. But so you don't.
Well,
That's what he's trying to keep you from.
Right. X-Lax and things like X-Lax have a stimulant in it, so it doesn't allow your body to do it naturally.
Right, and it makes it'll drain the water first.
Right.
Before it gets to the hard stuff.
Right.
So sometimes you think you're really going,
right,
you're really doing something,
Right.
but it's not getting that hard stuff in. So these kind of more of those easier laxatives, sometimes they'll sell in the store, like papaya enzymes are easier.
What about like the teas, like the
You can take
smooth
teas.
move
You can take
teas or
teas.
laxative
Yeah, they
teas?
have Casa Sagrada. Did I say that right? Casa Sagrada in it, Senna, you know, those are the teas. The some of them in their day just simply went to the leaf itself and boiled it.
Right. They probably made their own
drank
teas.
it and it was able to flush it out. So that's what he means by.
And then he also
that.
and you know, and he also talks about just an enema consisting of clear, warm water.
Yeah,
it's a good help in the beginning.
Y'all got rid of those enema bags. Go back and get them. Go back and get those enema bags and work with the program. Amen. Just love on yourself.
Right. And then you know how can this was his testimony. He did an experimental thing on himself to diagnose to see what was wrong with him, and basically he did a short fast. Yeah. So a short fast, what would you say, like a 24-hour fast?
24 to 48, 24 to 72 is really good because he talks about getting up to 3 days, but you can start with 24, you know.
Right.
You miss, honestly, when you start feeling sick, you try to miss a couple of meals that you normally would do.
Right.
Not the time period, but the meals you actually would eat, and try to bypass that for a little bit. The body's gonna, you need to go into, let's get this stuff out.
Right. And understand too the detox symptoms, the ones that he listed earlier. So you know, sometimes when people are like, oh, I can't fast because you know, if you have issues with blood sugar or whatever, we're not gonna tell you if you're diabetic, go ahead and fast and then you're gonna go into a diabetic coma. That's not what we're saying. Okay. But
see you on the other side.
But you know, if you know that you don't, but you've tried fasting and you're like, oh no, I can't fast because I get dizzy or I get headaches,
you
right?
will get a headache.
But he is saying that that's just a sign. That's why he says a short fast is good, because that will tell you if you start feeling those symptoms, that's a way to diagnose yourself. Like, you know what, I really do I'm clogged up, palpitations of the heart. And it's interesting because I've had those issues in the past, and you know, he's saying that means that there's pus somewhere in the system, or maybe drugs that you've had to take in the past, whether recreationally or over the counter, that it may take many years for it to go through the system.
The drug actually goes into, you know, your organs, sits in your tissues and whatever, and then as you are detoxing, the body now cleanses everything. So it's going to go behind the bush. It's going to go behind the tree. It's going to go under the ground. It's going to say, you got to go. You got to go. And that's when you get that, oh, man, what's happening? I'm dizzy. I'm going through. Sit down, relax. That's what you want to do, and allow the body to go through it. Sometimes it's better just lay down and go to sleep, and allow the body to do that. Animals love doing that.
And I know for me, in the past, whenever, you know, I've gone through detox symptoms, you know, sometimes taking charcoal, to try to help alleviate some of because I know it's toxins trying to come through. So I'll take charcoal because I know it's going to help absorb some of those toxins as they're trying to make their way out.
So, and just remember, mucus is tied into constipation. It's just too much mucus in there.
Right.
And it's slowing all of the movements down. Now you can go, this is what's going on. You can eat, you know, just thinking, oh, I'll get better. I'll take something. But then next thing you know, you're gone 3 days, 4 days eating nothing without fruit or anything to push through, and it catches up.
Right.
Especially the older we get.
Right. So, you know, that was some of the stuff from his book, the rational fasting. But he also has another book that's entitled The Mucusless Diet. Right. And I really love this quote. I shall prove that there is not a single disease, not a disturbance or a sensation, not an unhealthy appearance or symptom, okay, which cannot be explained and seen at once in its real nature as what it is.
Yeah. So he sees it as that's now this y'all got to get this. That's local constipation. I mean, talking about like we up here in Oakland and y'all in LA, and y'all that's local. No, he's talking about in your body. All right. So that's why I said you got local issues slowing down, sluggishness in the blood flowing in the neck. He's saying that's where the connection's going to be.
Right.
He's saying that a constitutional constipation by mucus. See, I don't know if you remember the movie called The Mob. Slime. Some of y'all like those horror flicks, and how it just moves all slimy. Y'all do this in biology, just slime, and then it slows down, and finally just comes to just sitting. And now you scientists got to walk on it, whatever. Then it starts going up again. You see this happen. That's what he's saying is happening when we don't have enough fiber to move stuff through. It just over time slows up, and now he's calling it local constipation, not just in the tummy. It's all in the knee. Oh, I got stuff in my toe. I got stuff. Oh man, my back is getting me. Oh man, that's what he's saying.
So, speaking of local constipation, you had a story that you wanted to
Oh
share.
man, I gotta tell y'all this story. I told you this story a lot, but today, since we're on mucus, this will really make it. I don't know if my son, again, Anthony's on the phone, but I always kind of go back to this with with really most of my children, because I remember trying to sit Timothy on my lap. He probably was like, Dad, why you gotta tell that story? And try to do some kind of enema to get some stuff through, because he used to always stay clogged up because he didn't like vegetables. He 31, 32, he don't like the vegetables, but he knows how to push stuff through that. So I'm speaking to my older son, Anthony, right? So there was this period of time where the pizza was easy. It's become easy now. And so I think for 5 days in a row, I gotta ask him. He's had pizza for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. He's living the good life, I like my children to learn by experience.
Right.
So he's living. He said, Dad, y'all eating that rabbit food or whatever you eating, and he's eating. He's enjoying it. And Saturday morning, trying to go to church, he's bent over. Right, something we saw earlier. Remember that discomfort in the bent. He's bent over. Right. So as soon as I saw him bent over, he said, Dad, can you come up with some of that? Some of the contraptions you be coming up with. So I was concoctions. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Concoctions. So I leaned over down with him as he's bent over. I said, boy, that pizza was good. Huh? That pizza good, huh? He said, yeah, but I said, but it don't want to come out. You know why? Because the cheese develops the mucus, slows down the system, never took a break, slowed it, and now it was hard. It wasn't trying to move. And watch how powerful ARNOLD's saying, because I didn't know this till I made the connection. So I just juiced some grapefruits, right? So I had a big tall pitcher in the refrigerator, and I said, go in the refrigerator. We just juiced some grapefruit juice. Pour it you a tall glass. Don't sip it. Just bottom up and drink that, and you'll be all right. That's what I told him. Like I told you, we're not a doctor, right? But I can only tell him what I experienced. So he went in there and he drank, fixed up that grapefruit juice fresh and drank it all the way down. And boy goes in there and starts moving stuff around. And I didn't see him for 2 hours. But he came out ready to shout glory, hallelujah. He came out, he was Kirk Franklin after that. Dad, that worked. So what I'm trying to tell you is, like, what did you learn about Caleb and carrots? You were telling me when he was a little boy.
Oh yeah, and I'm sure every mom has had this experience. When you give baby food or you puree, right? So carrots, I mean, that seemed to be the go thing for him. And so definitely, if he was fussy, colicky, and and I could tell that there's might be some constipation, I'd just give him some carrots, and
that's all he's trying to say.
That or
and how quickly it worked. That's all Eric was trying to say.
Prune the same way. So yeah,
So that's what you want when you're feeling all this good stuff to make you go to the bathroom.
Now, it's the other thing that was interesting to me is how he connects diseases to
Oh yeah, y'all.
mucus. So he's talking about colds, pneumonia, which would make, I mean, obviously, right? I mean, we were just talking about how if you have a cold, definitely if you have pneumonia, it's fluid in your lungs, but it's really an overproduction
That's right.
of
Too much mucus.
mucus, right? Consumption. Now, this disease is a disease name that I see that they used a lot back in
then, yeah.
back in his time. But it has to do something with the lungs. You know, so maybe it was some type. And then it'll you know, it can progress into tuberculosis, right? So you know, again, consumption in terms of, you know, mucus
Those of you
in the lungs.
remember Florence Griffith Joyner?
Yeah.
She was real flashy back in the day, a track star, went to Olympics, fingernails way out here or whatever. And they wanted her to advertise milk.
Right.
But that she was asthmatic. So she died at a young age.
She did.
And when they did the autopsy, her lungs were coated with this mucus formed from the milk that they were giving her for advertising for the company. And so she didn't make that connection, but the autopsy showed that this is what was happening. That film covered the lungs where she couldn't breathe, and this is what he's saying right there in that under that title, consumption.
Right. And so as you guys are seeing, toothache.
Wow.
You know, it's a warning signal of nature, and it's interesting what he says here. Stop eating. I must repair. There is waste and pus.
That's what the body's trying to say.
You have eaten too much lime poor food. And I guess meat, it would be the poorest, the more lime poorest.
You get that toothache, man, just stop eating. It's supposed to go away. So that's all he's saying. Give the body a chance to cleanse out the too much mucus.
Right. Stomach problems being an issue of too much mucus.
Yeah.
The other ones.
Gout. Did you see that gout?
Yeah, gout, goiter, a boil.
That's really weird.
Stammering. That was very interesting. He was talking about that it's an accumulation of mucus in the vocal cords, liver and kidney disease, even sexual disease. And that's something that, you know, people, you know, syphilis, we know, but there's other STDs out there.
He acted like gonorrhea was nothing. He said that's the easiest of the sexes. I was just stunned when I read that. He said, oh yeah, that's so easy. You know, he's just so confident.
Yeah.
You know, drink a tall glass of grape juice or grapefruit juice, and you know,
right.
That was him. Right. That was him back in the day.
Right, exactly. He was like, they're easily, but you know, it's interesting that he's saying back then that the use of drugs alone can produce the characteristic symptoms of syphilis.
Right.
And that the more, you know, the more drugs that have been used, especially mercury, okay, the more carefully the treatment must be conducted. So, you know, when we talk about mercury in vaccines today, when we talk about mercury fillings, right? There are a lot of people who have had mercury fillings and maybe still have them at this point, which is why you know, there's a specific dentist, or most dentists don't want to take them out because they have to wear like this protective gear because of the gas that the mercury can emit. So it's interesting. You know, they say there's nothing new under the sun, right? Eye and ear diseases, right? And then this was interesting to me, mental diseases.
Yeah.
Okay.
Clogged up, man.
Right.
Clogged up.
And you know, we've talked.
Like I said, it's the 1800s.
Right.
So I don't know what science is saying today, but 1800s.
1800s, and we've talked about in sessions past of how foods can affect your you know, your mental moods at least, and can you know, today's science is saying that they are finding now connections, but we're seeing here in the 1800s, he's like, no, the connection is there.
Yeah,
it's already there.
And those real quick on that eye thing. That's all right.
sorry.
The I was going to an iridologist, Dr. Paul Goss, by the way, out of Compton. Now I think he has a place in Arizona, retreat. Anyway, Dr. Paul Goss, he does those. I can't think of the body work products that he does. CKLS. Some of y'all might know that. Anyway, he told me one time. He said, "Now, you have those glasses on, right? I'm sitting in this office. You have those glasses on." He said, "I want to show you something." So he took a. If y'all remember the little film that you came in the little black case, you go back and you get it
35
developed.
millimeter.
Yeah, so you go develop with that little black case. He had poked a hole in the bottom of it. He said, "I want to show you." He said, "I want you to read this on the screen right here." So I was reading it. It was still foggy and blurry. And as soon as I looked through the little hole with that little case in it, it was crystal clear. It was crystal clear. And he told me these words I'm telling you. He said, "Your eye is full of mucus. That's why it's blocking the sight and causing it to be blurry. So you go get the glasses, they adjust it to where you can see clearly. But I'm telling you, if you cleanse, the eyesight will get better."
Yeah, that's interesting because here Dr. Ehret is saying how he healed a few cases of blindness and even deafness using the same principles. So, there's so much, and that we had to be like, this is going to be part one, because we're going to do part two. There's still a lot more.
You can get these in Kindle books too.
Yes, Amazon, definitely. And then for those of you that have been able to go to our website and you have signed up, then we have your email address and we can send you all this information. In the PowerPoints that we just did, we can go ahead and send all that information to you by email. So, it's always good to have a reference. And this is just hitting the surface, which is why in what we will send you, we have the links. You just click on there. If you want to get the books, which I recommend that you do, it's for your health.
Yes.
And who would have thought? Most people wouldn't think that the 1800s, the way science is talked about, it's how much science has progressed. But in a lot of ways, that's why I said when you gave me this book, I was like, none of this is in my science books, none of it. And yet it's something that I tried myself, that I could say, yes, you know what, this does have some merit. It what he is saying is not just weird stuff. Yeah,
you'll be blessed. Eye-opening, be blessed. Dr. Paul Goss is more of our, not Dr. Paul Goss, Dr. Sabi is more of our contemporary.
Yes,
he builds on that.
Yes, and we'll talk more about, because he also prescribes to mucusless, alkaline, electric food as well. So we'll definitely be talking about that as well, with our part two, because it's just deep, guys. There's just so much. So what are mucusless foods, or what is the mucusless diet? And we'll go into detail in terms of more like a list of what those things are. But he did say fruits and vegetables. Okay, so you might be like, okay, well, how do what
how
is
can we make this fun?
Yeah, how can this is, you're telling me that and we haven't even gotten into the list of foods. We have not. Because when you get into the list of foods, for some people, you might be like, what? But that's all the stuff I eat, right? But we do have a recipe that I'll be sharing, but we'll be demoing, well, two, because you'll be doing the smoothie part as well. So which one do you want to do first?
Let's do. I gotta go through my bag, so yes.
Oh, okay.
This hasn't worked yet.
So let's see if I can do this. So we'll do the rear facing. And
good.
There you go. All right. So what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be doing a simple, I call it simple, right? You know, if pasta, so pasta, is pasta mucus forming?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
It is mucus forming. So if you love pasta as much as I do, right? Then you're like, okay, well, so how do I reconcile my love for pasta and mucusless food, right? So right here, if you guys haven't recognized it already, this is a squash, and in particular, it's a spaghetti squash. And this spaghetti squash has been in the oven for an hour. I did poke some holes in it, you know, to make sure that it gets the heat in there. So an hour, right, in the oven. And you know, some of you have probably had spaghetti squash before. Spaghetti squash for me is fairly new. So what I like to do is cut it down the middle. And let me go ahead and kind of cut this end off, right? So go ahead and cut it down the middle. And as you can see, when it opens up, right? So here you have, it's already spaghetti looking, right? So I'm not going to do the whole thing for sake of time, but you know, the seeds, right? You can go ahead and take the seed, and this one has a lot of seeds, which is a good sign. Okay, guys, we've talked about this before. If your fruits or vegetables don't have a lot of seeds, that's not a good sign. Okay, that's not always necessarily a good sign. I'm gonna collect the seeds in here real quick. Probably should have gotten a spoon instead. Okay, so anyway, I'm gonna kind of put this over here to the side, and I'm just gonna, this will go quicker this way. All right, so well, you know, once you get the seeds out, as you can see, it has like a spaghetti like consistency. Okay, and so basically what you can do is, you know, I use the spaghetti strainer, and of course it will come over now. And so I'm gonna put this over here. No, we don't have to. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this spaghetti strainer, and I'm gonna strain all, or as much of the spaghetti squash as I can. And you can see it as it's, you know, just coming into the bowl. And you can get a lot just out of one half of this. Okay, it's out of one half. Let me see if I go on this side. All right, y'all get the point. And so what I did to, you know, for time's sake, I went ahead and kind of made my own little seasoning. So this has avocado oil, seasoned salt, cayenne, some oregano, and some chopped up parsley. I mean, not parsley, basil. Okay. And then I'm just going to pour it all in there. And then, of course, just so that it will have like a nice little cheesy taste, put a little bit of this. This is nutritional yeast. And then to have like a pasta sauce type deal, this is double concentrated tomato paste. And so I'll put some of that over it. And then I'll just take my spaghetti strainer and just go in there and mix it all up real good. And you know, I like all the flavor in my pasta when I do my pasta, but some people, you know, you can just you know, do this plain and do like a spaghetti sauce. you know, and put it over the spaghetti sauce. You know, however, whichever way you normally do pasta, you can do that. And yeah, you just keep mixing it. And we don't have time, but the other day, yeah, I took a picture of it anyway. We did spaghetti squash pasta, and I did fried green tomatoes from Virginia and Asha's garden.
Awesome, awesome.
And it was really, really good. So there you go. You have your pasta, and it is delicious, tasty, and it's mucus free. Okay, mucus free.
No mucus in there.
No mucus in there. So, and so I'll be putting up the recipe for both this and the fried green tomato recipe as well. So very simple. And I tell you, it took my craving for pasta. It actually did. It was really, really good because if you haven't had the spaghetti squash, those of you that have not, you know that it, you know, it'll absorb whatever seasonings that you put in it. So roasting the seed in the oven.
Yeah, that was really good. I saw
and
that.
use them for salad topping. Very good. I will definitely have to do that. I'll have to try that out. That sounds really good. So, the next thing that we have is a mucus less smoothie. Now, most of you would probably say, okay, well, but it's fruits and vegetables, so you know the smoothie. There should be no problem, right? It should automatically be mucusless. Not necessarily so. Like I said, we didn't really go through the list of the mucus forming foods, but one of them can be the banana. But not all bananas are the same. And we've talked about this. So look, guys, if you're used to, you know, buying the regular banana that you always buy, you know, the one that's always sold, that one is mucus forming. However, we've showed you guys these before. These are the baby bananas, organic baby bananas.
Right.
These are not mucus forming because these come in their natural way. The banana that we mostly buy in the store it's a hybrid. Okay, it's not, and which is why it is mucus forming. So these bananas are good. Also, green banana. If you are going to get a banana, there's another kind of banana called the burro banana. Burro bananas they're shorter and they're fatter. We showed you guys the red banana the other day, and green banana, or what people would call the plantain. So those are not mucus forming. Okay, so if you are trying to adhere to a mucusless diet or trying to transition in that, you might want to transition into the type of banana. Now, these small organic baby bananas can be bought. You can find them in Whole Foods. Sometimes they go fast. Farmer Joe's out here in the Bay Area. I don't know that Trader Joe's has them. Those of you that maybe shop there more frequently might be able to know. You know, they sell them there.
Right.
But I know that usually when we get these, we get them from Whole Foods or Farmer Joe's out here in Oakland. So, but I would suspect that maybe some Latin markets, some Asian markets might sell these as well.
Okay, you can go ahead and peel that one if you want.
Okay, you need it for your...
Yes.
Okay.
Use for
Okay.
It's good.
All right, so I'm
There you
peeling the banana.
That's how it makes it look so.
All right.
Okay, so I call myself making a lot of.
All right, so we're gonna
smoothie.
walk you guys over to the smoothie table.
Now we're going to do this mucusless for a reason, because we want fiber to push the stuff through, right? So he talks about getting some cherries, right? Some real dark, good cherries in there to make it'll be fibrous. All right. So those of you who love cherries, this will be your awesome moment.
So we got the bananas in there. We got the cherries in there.
Okay,
so what else are we adding?
So there's more fiber with some apple juice.
All right, so we've got apple juice. And I noticed that that's not the clear apple juice.
Right, so that's going to
so
be
you don't want to put the clear apple juice. Yeah, if your apple juice looks clear, it's been filtered way too much. So we got apple juice. We've got the small baby bananas, the cherries.
He doesn't believe that nuts are mucusless. Mucus.
All right, so nuts are not mucus forming.
Right.
So this is some nut milk. This one is almond.
This is almond.
Okay.
All right, so we're gonna, in case I might need it down the line. All right, so we're hooking y'all up. Oh, you gotta tell them about oh yeah, dragon fruit.
All right, we've talked about dragon fruit before.
We made a
smoothie bowl last time. Okay, I thought yes. So you can also put it in your smoothie.
Right.
So this is dragon fruit. And we've talked about the benefits of the dragon fruit before.
And remember the color, look how dark it is.
Yes, so we were talking about red, right? So we've got red cherries. We're looking at the dragon fruit that's also red. So we're talking blood color.
Right. And then this is the land of Canaan right here.
All right, and then we have some fresh figs. Now these are black figs. Okay?
There we go. What color?
Black.
I'm just trying to.
Black figs. Okay, so putting those in there as well.
That's it.
All right.
Got my little,
and of course,
save me.
A little bit of salt.
No.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. No, don't put salt. Don't put salt. Ice.
Some people don't mind doing it. This should work.
All right.
I didn't have a chance to practice this one, so. And there you have it.
All right, this is a nice reddish pink color. Look at that.
That's what you want.
Ooh, pretty.
That's to clear out mucus. You wouldn't see something that tastes so good to clear out mucus.
Wonderful.
Any questions? Did I jump out this cycle?
You did. That's okay. All right, so we're open for any questions or any comments. You can either unmute yourself or you can write it in the chat. Oh, there we go. So great. Dragon fruit. So dragon fruit is basically, it's an Asian fruit. And you've probably seen it in the grocery store. It's kind of strange looking. It's red on the outside and it has like these
pointers.
Yeah, kind of like these little leaf things. Yeah. Yes. And sometimes those little leaf things that are coming out are kind of greenish.
Right.
And when you cut it open, like the actual dragon fruit, when you cut it open, it's white inside with a lot of black seeds. So, usually what they want you to do, you can buy the packets, which is what you saw. They already sell the
Right.
frozen packets of dragon fruit. Or if you buy the actual fruit, then you wash it and you just kind of cut out the little green things that are, growing out. But then you cut it up and you know, you can blend it in. I've never eaten the dragon fruit just like fresh, so I couldn't tell you what it tastes like. If anyone on here has, then you can definitely share that with us. But yeah, so that's what there was a question about what
Yes.
dragon fruit is. Um, any other questions? So, yes, go ahead. Pamela, did you have a question?
Oh, yeah. I
Yeah.
was going to. I didn't know. I thought you were going to answer something else. But yeah, it's kind of like a mango, I guess, the texture with the dragon fruit. But the squash, I often cut my squash in half and then pull out the seeds before baking it. And then, just cover it kind of in a foil, and then each half in foil and then bake it that way, because it's easier so the seeds don't get mixed into the actual. But yeah, the seeds are great to bake, and you can try them with different season. Like I like to do smoked paprika or salt, pepper, or even cinnamon, sometimes. And, so they're really good to use on toppings or just eat by themselves once you bake them.
Very good. Thank you for that. Yeah, I need to upgrade on my knives. So I don't have a knife that can cut the raw gourds.
Got it. Yeah, they're
So,
hard.
yes, they are. So that's why I put it in the oven first, and then it makes it easier to cut. But once I upgrade with my knives, then I will definitely try what you are saying, because I want to try that. That sounds really good. Sounds really good. So while some of you might be typing in the questions, mucusless diet, what we're dealing with here, and we've talked about the colon and we've talked about all those other things. And at the end of the day, I don't know that we'll ever get tired of saying this. It's really about educating our people and understanding that whatever diseases or ailments or things that we get, we don't necessarily, it's not necessarily a death sentence for us, or a sentence of having to deal with the disease long term. There are diseases, of course, that some of us are living with long term, but still, in educating ourselves, we learn how to how to better the situation, right? So if you have arthritis, or you're dealing with arthritis, usually, I mean, you've given your testimony already of how you can have arthritis as a teenager. But I think as we get older, sometimes we think, oh, well, that just comes with the age, and that's just going to be my lot in life. And I loved what you said in terms of the mucus less diet, that arthritis can really just, it's a telltale sign that you have a mucus buildup in your joints. And that if we change our, if we change our diet, and we're understanding what is happening, then we don't necessarily have to suffer long term, or suffer terribly from these ailments.
And most of our battles with really us, we don't we don't give ourselves a break from some of the foods that are causing it. And some, as he was saying, some people don't connect that the food is actually the problem. So he was going through that in his day. One thing I know about him, Dr. EHRET, Dr. Goss, Dr. Sabi, Dr. Gersham's, what was that, father, is that they strongly believe in the power of the plant. and they'll take almost any case, as bad as it looks. And if you're willing to stay with them, go through that program with them, they've turned people's house around.
They have.
I mean, Dr. Sabi went all the way up to what, Supreme Court or something?
Yes. Yes.
So,
to fight some of that.
Yeah, to fight some of it. And those testimonies were so overwhelming that they couldn't get him on back, because there were too many people with these bad cases. I mean, from AIDS, he was cleaning up all kind of people. Why? Because they solely believe that the mucus stored up in all these different parts of our body was causing the issue. And if you ate a flushing out, a fruit to vegetable based diet, it will begin to move some of those coagulations and buildups of mucus out of the system, soften them and move them out of the system.
Right.
That's what we here to encourage.
Exactly. And you know, we've talked about how it's been a journey for us. We weren't born vegan. We weren't born vegetarian. We were born eating the way our parents ate. And, you know, you've said that sometimes it's hard to argue with somebody like your dad who, you know, he lived to 97 years of age.
He had chocolate ice cream every night before he went to sleep or whatever he did after. Yeah, he just did not. I don't know when he stopped eating chicken, if he did. My mom ate chicken all the way up to death. But those are hard to. So we understand the grip.
Yes.
Of appetite, taste, and the security it brings with you.
Yes. Yes.
Because sometimes you wonder, I don't know what else to eat.
Right.
And
right.
Is that really going to fill me up?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So
or is it going to taste? Or is it going to taste good? You know. Maybe it's not gonna taste well. You know, so you know, it's a struggle. It's a struggle. And sometimes what I learned, you know, I briefly shared this testimony in terms of my health, and it got to the point where the doctors didn't know exactly what to diagnose me with. They were like, well, if you're still feeling as bad as you are, come back in, you know, 3 months and we're going to diagnose you with lupus and fibromyalgia together. And I was baffled, like, okay, right. So what I'm saying is that at that point, I had to do drastic measures. I mean, the way my body felt, I felt like I was going to die anyway, or I felt like I can't see me living life like this with this disease. And so you know, at that point, I'm like, well, the doctors can't come up with something, so I'm going to have to do something drastic, what I consider drastic. And really, I was vegetarian at the time, but I was vegetarian. So I was still eating dairy products. I loved my pasta. I just told you guys about pasta, bread. I love those kinds of things, and not necessarily making the connection that those things were hindering, you know, we're still mucus producing and if you still like that.
And some people, you know, still the process is longer than the desire to get rid of stuff. It takes a while because we take a long time to build it up. So if you're eating vegetarian, et cetera, and you still got some of these pains, think about every morning and every time, just before bed, maybe not just before bed, but think about apple cider vinegar in some water, lemon, you know, and drink that. Think about that. The other thing is, I would, if it were me, I would slow the roll on the transition meats for a while. I would test myself out for a week without doing the vegetarian meats. That can be salty and still cause the mucus. Those are elements. Sometimes if I eat, well, back in the day, I'm really dating myself, a Ready Burger. But if I eat, a Beyond Burger,
they still make the Ready Burgers.
Know, if I eat this kind of burger, and I have that 2-3 days in a row with the bread that's not Ezekiel or not, then that's gonna collect on me, and I'll still have some of those symptoms.
Right.
Even though I'm eating plant-based, so I have to go the next step.
Right.
And say, okay, I need to eliminate that. The best thing he says, which is why he says fasting, is fasting eliminates everything. And then you introduce stuff back and see what's causing
the issue.
issues. Now, if you can't, if you can't fast, whatever, then you have to do kind of like the Daniel fast. You're going to eat certain things closer to the original source. If you just do it for 72 hours, you'll start to feel something differently. And yes, of course, the charcoal is more for the toxins to draw out. And that's what you want. You want to draw out, but you also want to drink a lot of water with that charcoal, because that's going to help take the charcoal to help take the issue out, flush out, because charcoal can go in there and slow down stuff. It can cause you constipation. So you want to make sure if you take charcoal, you're going to drink a lot of water to have that carry stuff out.
And I'll my struggles. I told you guys I love bread. I try to do the Ezekiel as much as possible, but sourdough bread, I love sourdough bread, and sourdough bread is vegan. Okay, so that's how I talk myself, right? I'm like, you know what? I'm eating a nice sourdough sandwich. It's got all the vegetables on it. This is vegan. This is good. But if I go a few days eating bread like that, immediately I start getting stuffy. I already start feeling the effects of the mucus forming food. So
listen, I think it was a couple of days ago. We were leaving, I don't know if it was the church or something, maybe real late. And we were trying to go through, I think we tried to go to some of the stores. We were trying to drive around, try to find something to snack on late. And we couldn't find the best of foods. I'm telling you, before we could open up the package, I'm being funny right now. We started feeling the sensations of mucus already. We just taken a couple of bites and man, we already getting sinus stuff. And, because once you go the clean route and you introduce certain things, your body will react right away. And so we were laughing about that, like, man, we can't get this stuff down. This is all we can feel it. And so we knew that we had to make sure, because we went out and got some orange juice, grapefruit juice, and because we knew we had to intentionally kind of fight that and make sure that doesn't stay in us to do. So those are the wars you got to do. You can, if you eat, okay, you go get some ice cream, you got to know, I gotta be able to battle this. You can't wait till the issue comes. You got to make sure it goes. So those are helpful.
Charcoal, citrus based fruits and juices are really, really good. Water. And to get to the point of not those foods not being the bulk of what you eat, but you treat yourself ever so often. And if you know that you are an aholic of that particular thing, then you might not be able to treat yourself ever so often, because then that treat ever so often will turn into days and weeks and months, and then you fall off the wagon. But we've been there, right? We've been there. We have fallen off the wagon at times, and so we want to encourage you that it's a journey. This is not something that only the strong-willed and the special people attain this. It's attainable for anybody, and it's a journey. And we always say, don't give up. Keep going, and the next time it'll be better, and the next time, and eventually it gets to the point where we've said, where we eat something and we're like, I feel terrible, and then you're like, yeah, let's not do that again, right?
So you go through Jesus said through Paul. King James Version says there is now no condemnation. That's what we leave. You just connect the dots. Okay, I got a little too much mucus stored up in me. I need to go to the battle and do that. And that's what we want to encourage you, because we realize summertime is time to partay and enjoy your best. So we realize that. We just try to help you understand the mucusless diet. go to those things to help you be able to push some of that thing through.
All right.
Okay.
All right, guys. Well,
Man, we love you all. Thank you so much
for joining us. Those of you that are on Zoom and those of you that are on YouTube, thank you for joining us. And those of you that will be able to watch this. So those of you that are with us and you want to share this with your other friends,
That's right.
They're able to watch this on our YouTube channel, The Vibrant Village. And this episode will be on there in order for people to watch. And if you've signed up at thevibrantvillage.org, we have your email address, and we'll be sending out we will be emailing out this information. And last but not least, we were not expecting the thunderstorm for today, but we are on for Sunday, this upcoming Sunday, same spot, Redwood Regional, 8 a.m. We hope to see as many of you that are able to come.
All right.
All right, guys.
Blessings. Take care.
Bye.
Bye-bye.